The first data type we are going to learn is called a string. So I'm going to delete all of this and create a single line comment, which is going to say string. So string is a data type used to represent text. Strings are simply fields of text. That's it. You already wrote some strings. Remember when we did console.log, and then in there, what you typed was the actual string. So we said hello world like this. Console.log is a method or a function which prints something to the console. It prints a value, but this value is of a data type string. So you can see in there we have a string. That's great. We can also store this value of a string in a variable. So I'm going to say const example string, and then in there I can do the same thing. Hello world. That's it. And then remember, we can simply say console.log example string, as the example string is the variable name of the variable that holds the value of our string. So you can see right there, we do get hello world. A string in JavaScript, as you can see, must be surrounded by quotes. As you can see in here, we have a opening quote and a closing quote. In JavaScript, there are three types of strings: single quotes, double quotes, and backticks. So let's first create a string written with single quotes. We are going to create a new variable, const single quotes. That's just the name of the variable. Remember, this has nothing to do with the actual string, it's just the name. And we are going to make the value of it a single quote. And then in there, we can say hello, for example. That's it. We've just created a string with single quotes. We can console.log it, console.log single quotes. And we indeed do get the value of a string. Let's do a second example with the double quotes. Const double quotes. Again, this is just the name of the variable, has nothing to do with the actual way of creating a string. And we make it equal to double quotes, and then we can say basically the same thing, but we're going to add 2 exclamation marks, for example. That's it. To see the value, we just need to specify the variable name inside of the console log. That's going to print it to the console. In there, you can see we get hello with 2 exclamation marks. That's it. You just created 2 different variables using strings in 2 different ways. But you may be thinking, what's the difference? What's the difference between the single quote string and a double quote string? There is absolutely no difference. They are identical. Double and single quotes are also called simple strings. They are not complex strings. We also have something known as backticks. So I'm going to call a variable backticks. So how do we create something known as a complex string or backtick string? We put backticks. As you can see, it's almost the same as single quotes, but it's angled to the right side a bit. That should be the key left of the 1 key on your keyboard. Try it out. If you cannot find it, try Googling for backticks for your specific keyboard. Then in there, let's say hello, and then let's say 3 exclamation marks, just so we can see the difference. Again, we get absolutely the same thing, hello with 3 exclamation marks. So why is it a complex string? What's so special about the third way of creating a string? Backticks provide extended functionality. They allow us to embed variables and expressions into a string by wrapping them into $ and then curly braces. I'm going to comment out these 2 lines, and I'm going to create a new variable, const called name, for example. In this case, name is going to be, let's say, Jane. So what do we do with this variable name? Of course, we can console.log it just so we can see what name is. As you can see, we do get Jane. But how do we embed the variable name inside of the backtick string? Well, as we mentioned, we can use the $ and then curly braces syntax. As you can see, this changed color, and then that means that anything that's put in between the curly braces is going to be executed as real JavaScript. So if you put name in there, we are not going to get hello name, we are going to get hello Jane. To test that out, let's just console.log the backticks, which should now include the name. As you can see, we do get hello Jane. This is a convenient syntax that allows us to embed different variables into strings. So when would we use this, for example? Let's say that the user is logging in, and he's going to enter his name, for example, John, Jane, or anything else. He's going to input his name via a field. We just hard-coded the value here, but this is going to be coming from a field. And let's say his name is John. We're going to say, hello, John, and let's say, welcome. And as you can see, we got hello, John, welcome. But let's say that some other user enters, her name is Jane, and we got hello, Jane, welcome. This is really useful. So let me ask you a quick question. If we have an empty backtick string, and in there we say 2 + 2, and if we simply console log backticks, what do you think the output of this code is going to be? We save it, and you can see 2 + 2 as a string. But how would we make this into 4? How would we make JavaScript know that we need to interpret this as JavaScript logic and not a string? Remember, we put it into $, and then wrap it in curly braces. Once we do that, we can get 4. That's it. So, when should we use single quotes, when double quotes, and when backticks? You can use single or double quotes whenever. So whenever you have just a name or just a static value in there, you can choose between single and double quotes. Sometimes I'm going to use single quotes, sometimes double, but you can stick with just one. For example, just hello there. Whenever you want to do something dynamic, then you switch to backticks. So then you switch to this little backtick syntax. That's it. It's really important to note regarding data types that we can inspect the type of each value by writing type of before the value. So in here, we can write type of and then backticks. This is actually going to give us a data type of that actual value. So you can see that the type of backticks is a string, and the type of single quotes is also a string. So there's absolutely no difference between those two approaches. Again, use single or double quotes whenever, and then use backticks only when you want to apply some extended functionality.